Steve and Jill here.
Hello.
Welcome to the Land Academy Show, entertaining land investment talk. I'm Stephen Jack Butella.
And I'm Jill DeWitt, broadcasting from sunny Southern California.
Today, Jill and I talk about how to protect yourself legally in the land business.
Sounds like a scary, like, do I need protection? What am I missing?
I was coming up with topics before the show today, and writing down topics as we always do. We try to do like the whole week's topics all at once, and our customer service extraordinaire, Amy, helped us come up with this. And she said, there's one person in particular that really wants to start off and make sure that she's legal. And it just occurred to me, like, actually this whole week is kind of back office admin week and how to get a mailer out, just the basic stuff. Amy was nice enough to share that, we have a bunch of new people for whatever reason the last few months, and they really need like just basic 101 type stuff. So Jill and I are happy to help.
Thank you.
So how do you protect yourself legally? We'll talk about it in a second. I have, as always, a lot of ideas on that.
There's always a lot to say.
Before we get into it, let's take a question posted by one of our members on the landinvestors.com online community. It's free.
John A. asks, what's the difference between data tree and RealQuest?
Okay, I'll give the background and you answer the question.
Oh, I was going Okay.
We are, Jill and I, licensed providers of the three major and the only three worthwhile, in my opinion, data sources for assessor data. RealQuest Pro, which has been the old standby since the late 90s. Title Pro 24/7, which is kind of a newer, but not totally new, data set that helps title agents actually figure out, close a deal. And then the third one is Data Tree, which is First American Title's almost brand new answer to RealQuest and Title Pro. So what do you think the differences are between the three, Jill, in general?
Well, first of all, RealQuest I still love the best because, especially for land, because every time you go into a county, let's go back, RealQuest is CoreLogic's data company. It's a lot of it is direct pull from the county assessors, and some stuff is fed in if it's manually, because we all know there's counties out there that are still using books on shelves, believe it or not. So RealQuest sends people out, and they pull those books off the shelves, and they sit there.
I don't mean to interrupt, but in the spirit of 101, I'm going to take a step back further. There's 3,144 counties in this country, counties, parishes.
Exactly.
They all have a tax roll or an assessor roll. And that's essentially a database with all the statistics about every single property in their county. Why? Because they tax it every year. So it has to have an assessed value and all this stuff. Well, RealQuest, which used to be a division of First American Title, but is no longer, they're the original. They're the old dinosaur in the business.
Right.
So what Jill's explaining is every month or so, usually more frequently, the assessor reports to RealQuest all this data.
Right.
Go ahead.
And then we pull that data. Thank you very much.
But there's a lot of different ways they do it.
Exactly.
Some of them are in the Stone Age.
Exactly. So they really send out individuals, not kidding, and they sit there with a computer and input the data. So the big thing is for land, number one, every time you pull a county, it's delivered in the exact same format. So you can easily do multi-county mailers, and just you don't have to relearn it every single time. Column 25 is the same every time you download the data for that county, which is beautiful. Also, it's really, really detailed for what we need for land. It's like 380 something columns, I think it is, of data that we have, which is astronomical. And the reason we went to RealQuest way, way, way back in the beginning was because it was the only place that we could source data with an assessed value of 0. So that's really kind of a neat thing for if anybody really wants to know, where did you guys start with them? That's why.
So what she means is...
Or excuse me, improved, not assessed, an improved percentage of 0, I'm sorry.
Every single piece of property in every county has two assessed values.
Right.
Land value.
Right.
Improvement value. Improvements are, for lack of a better description, what's built on it.
Exactly.
It's not, this for 101 purposes, that's what it is.
Exactly.
So you need all this data to make a very intelligent
right.
Mailer. You need to know what the assessed value is for each one of those. in particular, what Jill's describing is if the improvement value is 0, now we know it's a piece of land.
It's got nothing on it. It's just dirt. It was not improved.
And then there's all kinds of other things that are included in this data set that help you make an incredibly intelligent decision about whether or not they're worthy of getting an offer from you.
Exactly.
There's a lot of property in all these data sets that should never, ever get an offer from you. You're just wasting the price of a stamp.
Right.
That's what these data sets are so good at. That's why this all works. Because you have a great data set. You know, if you go into bigger pockets or even on land investors and you listen to people's questions about, man, this just didn't work. You know, it's probably because they didn't pull the data correctly, or they
don't have current data.
You know, people, if you specifically in bigger pockets, if you type in failed mailer, you'll get 1,000 entries about people buying a list on Facebook, sending it out to current homeowner or current landowner. It just doesn't work, you know.
Take it a step further. I know people that have even gone to the county, right? This is the old way too. Before we had this, you would go to the county. And when you sometimes get it back from the county, good luck if you've got all the things that you asked for. Because you're on the phone talking to someone and you're probably mailing them a check. You're waiting a couple weeks for them to pull it up and either send it to you. If you're lucky, now they email it to you. But back then it was like a DVD or sometimes even a stack of paper.
What she's describing, taking it back to the 101 level, is that you can actually purchase the assessor tax roll directly from the county.
Right.
You can call them and say, I'm going to send a $50 check in. And they send you literally a DVD or a CD of data.
Right.
You download it onto your computer. And if you even have a CD player anymore on your computer, and it's just gobbledygook.
Right.
You have to figure it out.
Okay, let me go back and just start with this question. Now, I think we're giving you a lot of history and a lot of background, a lot of old information, just so you kind of know. But let me give you the back to the answer here. So what's the difference between data tree and RealQuest? They both pull assessor data. They are both very, very valuable. We have found different nuances between the two, and we have found, and this is how we use it, RealQuest Pro for land is the best. Data tree for houses is the best. They have a little bit different characteristics, a little bit different the way they analyze the data. Data tree will throw in their extra mortgage information and things like that, which is beautiful. That's about it. How's that?
I mean, I have a tremendous amount of experience in both products.
Right.
I've literally sent millions and millions of records out of RealQuest and hundreds of thousands out of Data Tree. And the only reason Data Tree is less is because it's new or newer. And I can tell you emphatically, Data Tree has historical information for liens, meaning mortgage records, which is imperative, which you'll find out. We're releasing House Academy here very soon. How much debt is on a given asset is imperative to making a decision about whether or not they're going to receive a letter from you.
Right.
Land is essentially unfinanceable in general unless it has some improvement values on it.
Right.
So you don't need that mortgage information. You just need the basic stuff about how big it is, basic assessor roll information.
Is it current, like how current, you want to know right away who owns it, how big it is, all the details about it. So you decide, this is the whole group I want to send an offer to. I'm hitting all the 5 acres in this county. And
so the takeaway is RealQuest land, Data Tree, houses.
Exactly.
Or apartments or office buildings or whatever you're using.
Exactly.
Today's topic, how to protect yourself legally. This is the meat of the show.
I gotta say, are we kind of like data nerds? Because I feel like that's a topic that we could talk about forever. And that's the funniest thing is because when we're at if I'm ever out at a dinner party, we always use dinner parties, but we never go to dinner parties. So anyway, but hypothetically speaking, I'm in the environment that might be like a dinner party.
Thank God.
And I'm talking to someone that might come up to me and say, "What do you do?" Which I hate that question. But you and I invariably go into data.
It's data.
Because it all starts with the right data. You've got to, if you're not getting good offers out there to the right people, you're wasting your time and wasting your money. So we, launch into data, and it's so darn fun. And that's so this question, I'm like, we could talk for an hour on data, easy.
I noticed that, I produce this show, so every time we talk about data, it always goes over time. And we're going to go over on this one, I can tell right now.
That's funny.
I love data. It's all about the data.
Yeah.
That's why this works.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to hire somebody since you said it, if you're going to hire somebody to scrub data in general, this isn't going to work, I'll tell you.
That's scary.
If you're not into the data part of it, but you're into some other part,
Answering
this
the
isn't
phone.
going to work. The way you can work, if you are one of those people, the way it works for you is to get a partner.
Right.
Get a data geek partner, and then you can do all the deals and be on the phone and do all the stuff if you're that kind of person, and vice versa. That's what Jill and I are.
Yep. Thank you. All right, how to protect yourself legally. I'm going to start off. First, there are the obvious things. They involve, number one, always doing the right thing. I mean, come on, do the right thing, even if it costs you money. That is our personal motto and our corporate motto. That's number one. Number two, pay taxes, and if you're not sure about this stuff, it's so easy to get an accountant, and I know a lot of our members talk about this in our online community and land investors. Are you laughing at me?
Yep.
Why?
Because it's just what this question is about. This is why this show is valuable.
What?
Because it's not even I'll go after you.
Oh.
This is all valuable information. It's just
I'm
not what
thinking,
I thought this question
I'm
is.
like, how to protect yourself legally? I'm thinking
keep going.
paying taxes. If you're not sure about how to do it, get an accountant. That's too easy. Well, now I'm like, what do you have to say?
Honestly, this is totally valuable. I'm going to answer, when you're done, I'm going to answer the question like how I thought it was intended.
Okay.
How I thought it was intended. Go ahead.
All right. Well, I'm done. Now you go.
Oh.
I can't stand it now. What do you
I think the nature of this question is this. I'm just about to send some mail out. I believe in the whole thing. I'm sure it works. I love real estate. I did a few deals the wrong way. Now I want to do them right. What do I do so that I don't get sued? Or so that somebody doesn't come back and say, or don't even maybe just make a mistake and misrepresent something unintentionally.
Well, my points are valid. Do the right thing.
Pay your taxes.
But you know what?
Speaking of taxes.
Well, wait a minute. Let's just say you're sending
You know
a mail.
why she said that? Because Jill and I have, the last 2 years, have had the most horrific tax years. I mean, I'm all for full disclosure, but, we had to drink. We had to have alcohol to sign
to write
some
these
stuff
checks.
These last 2 years.
It hurt. But it's okay, but we're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yep.
That's the bottom line. That's what so.
Okay, so when you buy a piece of vacant land, and it's that first deal, and it's out in some other state that you don't live in, you're never going to see it. So you start thinking like, I don't know, what's going on out there?
Right.
How do I protect myself legally? I'm never going to go see the property. What if there's vagrant people sleeping on there? What if there's a pile of refrigerators and there's Freon leaking all over the place? And you start to think about it on those first few deals you do.
I never thought about that. That's what's so funny. Okay.
That's one of the 5 million great things about you, Jill. Because I think about that stuff. And it would be stupid for both of us to sit around and thinking about it and wasting time. One person should suffer.
Well, you know what? If you do it wrong, you fix it. Go ahead.
That's what we used to say about when the kids are little, like, are you going to take care of her? No, you take care of her. There's no reason both of us should suffer.
That's true. Good point.
Why don't you go shopping? I'll take care of her. And then tomorrow I'll go out on the boat. You take care of her.
Thanks.
Anyway, it's a good idea in general to get, this is for land only now, some type of insurance. In fact, you should get insurance as a corporation or as an LLC, or as an omissions insurance. We have now, and didn't for very, very long, decades. We had no liability insurance for like slip and fall and if somebody got hurt on our land. We just did recently, like a year and a half, 2 years ago. So I would recommend that, but don't be too worried about it, especially with really rural
You can
land.
get a general blanket policy. You don't have to go piece by piece by piece because you're hopefully owning a piece of property for hours or days, or weeks. So you don't want to turn it on Tuesday and turn it off on Friday.
Right. If you're purchasing property
Yeah.
Through a title agent, you're going to get an insurance policy, a title insurance policy anyway. If you're doing it yourself, like we've done a bajillions of times, with no title policy, you're doing the deed yourself. You have them close, comes back, you own it.
Yeah.
There is a certain level of risk, but in my opinion, it's a very acceptable level of risk about ownership. In the almost 16,000 deals that Jill and I have done, I think we've had issues with a title policy that I can think of once.
Right.
Jill has been doing it more than me recently, so let's just say less than 5 the whole time. And we resolved it. We went back through the chain of title and hired somebody and solved it. So that's not really an issue.
Right.
So then there becomes this issue of, okay, here's what I think. Actually, this is what I think this topic is about. I sold a piece of property, used a title agent. The guy bought the piece of property, and 2 years goes by, and he owns it. And he says, you know what? You misrepresented this property. You said it was 5 acres, and it's 5.02 acres, or let's say 4.98 acres. It's this, it's this, it's this. What are we going to do about this? You have to solve this for me legally. I'm not happy. The chances of that happening in rural vacant land and in infill lots is so small. That's really what I think this question is about. But let's say they're unhappy. How do I protect myself legally?
Solve it.
You give them their money back.
Yeah. Or
You
trade it
solve
out. I've had people like I
You
had one
solve it,
guy.
Joe.
We've all, I mean, if you do enough properties, you will have one. There's always one. And in a minute, I'm going to talk about other businesses too. But,
Again, I want to, before Jill gets into it, because she has a lot of experience with this, the chances of this happening are so small that, you know, we got to do this show because somebody asked the question and it's a very valid question and she's concerned about it.
Yeah.
But it's if
it
you
doesn't
just,
come up as what you're saying.
Yes.
It really doesn't. And what's so funny about it is like sometimes too, it can be a blessing in disguise. Like I've had properties where, I mean, doesn't happen very often, but let's just say it came back. And I've talked to members about this, and it might be worth more now.
Yeah.
Where you're like happy to buy the guy out. You know, that's one scenario. You know, and usually they just want to talk about it, if it even comes up at all. That's the thing. I'm trying to think. If anybody ever came back to me, I can only think of one guy, and all we did was just swap out a property. I gave him something else. It was no big deal, and it was totally fine. And the amount of properties that we're doing, I didn't lose any money at all. I still made money on it because I turned and resold the other one for more. So it was a great thing. And sometimes they just want to talk to you. Even if let's imagine your scenario exactly happened. If someone called me, I'd say, great, what do we want to do about this? Do you want me to 0.2 refund you or 0.02 refund you? That equals $300. Fine, I'll send you $300 because you paid $8,000, you know, or something like that. Do you want a refund? Usually, and if they've been loving it and owning it for 3 years, they're going to go, no, I don't want that. But maybe it may just be something's wrong with them. Usually that's it. It's not you. Maybe I don't know. It doesn't really come up. That's the whole thing. I'm having this example to me doesn't really come up, so I'm not sure.
Let me wrap it up this way.
Okay.
If you're a nurse,
the
chances of getting sued are probably 100 times more than what buying and selling rural vacant land or infill lots. If you own a convenience store, your chances are tenfold at least that some type of legal incident is going to happen.
Right.
And I could run through a huge list. It should be in the back of your mind, and you should cover yourself from an insurance standpoint to the point where you're comfortable. Yeah. But just don't worry about it.
But you know what? And here, let me wrap up with this. If you always properly convey everything about the property that you know, and you say, this is everything that I know about the property, and you're upfront and you're honest and everything like that, and you offer, I want to say this too for new people, because I've seen other people do things that I wouldn't have done it this way, but and you always say, hey, I have a guarantee, whether it's the life of the property or 6 months, whatever you want to put in there, offer some sort of money back guarantee. Then your customers are going to love you. They're going to feel good about you and all of that. Where I'm going with that is I saw one of our members on there. I was looking at their website, and they say, no, it's as is. When you buy it, no refunds, something like that. And that I'm like, okay, that rubbed me the wrong way. So I just want to let you know, if you're a new person, as a potential buyer, I might not be so interested in buying your property now because that scares me a little bit. But if you like I said, you properly convey it, have good photos, you say everything I know about the property is here. By the way, if you go out there in 90 days and when you see it, you don't love it, hey, we'll give you a refund. Totally fine. Then you are covering yourself, and your buyers will love you, and you'll have more buyers because of that too.
Well, you've done it again. You spent another 20 minutes or so listening to the Land Academy show. Join us next time for the episode called 3 Simple Systems You Should Have in Place Before You Actually Send Out Offers.
And we answer your questions. Post it on our online community, landinvestors.com. It's free.
You are not alone in your real estate ambition.
Was that dry? I feel like it was kind of dry. It went from
Needs to be talked
data
about.
to legal. Great. Okay. Thanks for hanging in there. If you are still listening, both of you.
Like I said a million times, when we horse around the show, 50% of the people love it. And when we're talking about technical stuff, 50% of the people love it.
Exactly. So this is for you technical people. And you technical people, wherever you're listening or wherever you're watching, please subscribe and rate us there. It really helps.
We are Steve and Jill.
And
Information
inspiration
to buy undervalued property.